Hello, everyone. Perry here, back on the channel. And I feel like my guest needs no introduction because you all know how obsessed I am with Scream. Skeet Ulrich, hello. It's so nice to meet you, and let's get into it. So,
Okay.
wondering what your first conversations with Wes were like about the role. Basically, what were some of your earliest burning questions before jumping into the role?
I don't specifically remember. I mean, it's so long ago, to be honest, and I'm sure there were some, but I know, there was a concentration on the psychology a lot, and I think we both had the instinct to lean into kind of pointing the finger at Billy, in the beginning, so that the audience would think, oh, no, it's too obvious. There's no way. Um, and I just sort of, was focused on the psychology of a killer and only that. And so I'm sure those conversations revolved around that and how to. I know he talked to me a bit about, the reason he cast me was because I was believable as a sweet kid, but I was also believable as a crazy kid. So whatever that's worth.
So I'm going to assume that Wes never spoke to you at the time about Billy's parents, specifically his mother. So if that was the case, what was it like for you watching Scream 2 and knowing that Laurie Metcalf was your mom?
Well, I haven't seen 2, 3, or 4, but I did know that. Yeah.
Why?
I didn't know that from the first one. I had heard it from fans at conventions or something more recently. I don't know. I just never watched them.
So it's like still to this day, you've never watched
I
them.
haven't. So I like to binge watch movies. So I'm waiting. I have to have 4 movies in a front. So once 5 comes out, I'll watch 2, 3, 4, and 5. How
Okay.
about that?
I wanna revisit this chat then, and I wanna get your opinion on all those other movies.
I'm sorry. I wish I had more to offer.
I'm so curious though. Um, Going back to your own though,
Yeah.
did Wes ever discuss with you who killed who between Billy and Stu? I feel like over time we've all kind of pieced it together and maybe figured it out, but did you two have to know who was responsible for what and when?
Nobody ever knew, to be honest. There were no conversations about it. I mean, I know that, you know, for, insurance reasons, et cetera, like the Ghostface had to be a stuntman. But yeah, we didn't know, and it never really was part of the conversation. Now though, going to conventions and stuff, I hear like it's a big burning question and people have theories and have figured things out. And yet, I know Matt Lillard had a conversation with Kevin Williamson and he never thought out who was doing what. So I guess that's kind of speaks a little bit to the genius of Wes, his ability to sort of, that people feel like they have clues in there as to who is who. And I think some are more obvious than others in hindsight. Obviously, if I'm appearing right after, it's clearly not me. So
Power of a franchise like this.
yeah,
Wes was very good at that, and just
yeah.
inspiring a fan base out there. It's kind of fill in the gaps that are really there, but not necessarily on screen.
Yeah, yeah. And that, only really become part of it if the film works well enough to have a 25-year life or whatever, that, had this movie not, reached an audience in the way it did, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Glad it did. I love this franchise. One more question about Wes for you, because I was listening to another interview that you did where you said that Wes would say just like one little thing to you and it would make all the difference in how you played a particular moment. So do you have any specific examples that come to mind of that happening and it changing your approach to a particular scene in the movie?
I mean, I don't remember, the exact exchanges per se, but I do remember, there were little nudges, little that were just almost whispered as you walk by, and from my recollection, most of it had to do with trying to instill a reaction in the other person. So, it was a way to shape Billy, but through what he was trying to achieve in the other person. So, but he was so psychological, and so clear in each character and their role in the overall orchestra, and kind of a tone master. So anything he had to offer, you always wanted to deliver, whether it felt instinctually correct to you in the moment or not. Like, he was that clever.
Very understandable. Do you have a favorite Matthew Lillard one-liner in this movie?
Yeah, of course. You hit me with the phone, Dick.
So is all that scripted? Is it scripted that you
That
had
was not,
it
it wasn't scripted that he gets hit by a phone. It wasn't scripted that he had a reaction to it. I was venting at having lost, I think, Sydney at that moment, or knowing where she was. And the fake blood was so sticky that when I went to throw the phone just in frustration, it didn't go the direction I intended. And what you see, it hit him, and his reaction was in the moment. So yeah, that's my favorite, because he still bitches about it.
That's very, very understandable. Here's another very specific line I want to ask you about. It's after Billy and Sydney have the conversation before she goes into the bathroom, and she leaves, and you say stupid. My whole family repeats that word exactly like you say it whenever we just say that word casually in life. So I watch a scene like that and I'm thinking, maybe that's a beat that's not scripted as well, because the scene could have cut there, but ultimately I'm glad it didn't. So was that particular beat in the script originally?
I can't remember, to be honest. It felt like, in trying to remember it as you say it, I feel like it wasn't, but I'm not much of an ad-libber, so I'm thinking maybe it was. Regardless, I think it is kind of an interesting moment, like once everything's revealed, to reanalyze that moment and what is he talking about necessarily. So, but I can't remember. And a lot of times what happens is, you ad lib something like that, and then it gets written in the script notes, and then it will get printed in the new pages as having, so it may look like it's in the original script, but it really wasn't. But I can't remember, really.
It's an interesting moment that it always catches my ear because the delivery is so memorable, but also it's really one of the only private moments we get for Billy in the entire movie.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. That's funny. Nobody's ever brought that up.
It always
I like it.
Gets me. All right, let's do a little what if. I'm wondering if you've ever thought about what Billy would have done if he succeeded with his whole plan. Because, I watch a lot of revenge movies, and those movies often have a line in there that said, if you kill this person and get your vengeance, it's not going to satiate that anger anyway. So do you think that if he was able to see all of this through and succeed, that he would have just went on living his life as one of the few survivors? Or, is he just bound to be a serial killer regardless?
I think the latter. I think he would have found other ways to vent, and to punish people, for sure. I think it was, for whatever reason, it was just born into him, early prefrontal cortex damage, who knows? But yeah, I think he's a serial killer through and through.
Yeah, I'd believe that. All right. I'm getting the last question. So let's go with, one of my favorite sequences of many in the movie is the kitchen sequence, the third act. So it's a pretty elaborate set piece with many beats in it. So if you had to isolate one particular part of that was the most difficult to pull off, which one would it be?
That's a good, there's a particular beat inside of, the reveal of his motives and the heartbreak of his parents, falling apart. I think trying to, you know, because of the elevated energy and stakes and being on a 10 the entire time, performing that scene for 5 days or 5 nights as it was to get that one scene, you know, trying to switch to that heartbreak in a way that isn't sappy, but feels sort of raw and is, you know, was a particular focus of mine that, you know, I think I think, you know, it's there, but it's not off, and there's a little bit of a rawness to it that kind of makes you feel for him a little bit. That was always sort of the goal, was that for, you know, that you try and get an audience on your side, and no matter whether you're playing the good guy or the bad guy. So that's the challenge of a part like that, and was the first time I was playing a part like that. So it was, I was glad to have Wes to guide me through that.
Great success in that respect. It's a very powerful moment in that scene. I have to let you go. You're lucky we were reduced to 10 minutes. I got like 25 years worth of questions here.
Oh no.
I'm gonna circle back and get you eventually, but big thanks
Please
for
do.
chatting with us today. And
thank you.
Congrats on one of my favorite movies of all time.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the question.